LinuxGameCast Weekly, the show that covers the latest Linux gaming news, reviews, how-tos, and most importantly, whatever the hell else we come up with. This week, Payday 2 is here, and most importantly, it's native, just like the 30-odd pieces of available DLC, and Frictional finally talks about Soma. 6 months later.
The face-fucking approaches. Mark your calendars, folks. And people don't really understand how April Fool's works, but at least Tomb Raider is going to be native.
Piracy is rampant in Brazil. In other shocking news, Kai reportedly still blue. Desura is dead. And in yet more shocking news, bears shit in the woods.
I'm Vince Stone here at LGC Actual, switching the bits, doing this nightmare fuel all under Linux, joined every week by a tame Canadian podcaster.
Oh god, it hurts.
It's brilliant and all the way from the now daylight saving space Portugal.
Finally, 2 weeks later. Hello.
Yes, and together with Chat Realm Dynamic, joining us every week live, we form a little bit, just a little bit, of a cocaine Voltron. Before we get started, we like to see what's going on in each other's life organs. Me, quick and simple. Pedro caught the brunt of it because it was on our Wednesday show. I had jury duty, more like jury week. I was so angry that I bought non-alcoholic beer. We'll just leave it at that. That's how vibratingly pissed off I was. What's up, J Baby?
Yeah, I had no excuse to go buy non-alcoholic beer because I can just go buy actual beer. But I was on call all week, so that was fun waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning dealing with bullshit. But it's over now. Now I get to wake up at 9:30 p.m. and deal with more bullshit.
And around here, I've basically been playing Dark Souls. I'm currently 75 hours in and I can't stop. Oh, God.
Well, there's one thing that never stops each and every week. It's the horse.
The horse has published some blueprints. It's wonderful because now you can get some lovely armor for it. It's the Steelix
Update. Yes. Valve actually released some cat files for the Areola controller, and this is kind of neat. You can download it, do all the changes, and if you have a 3D printer, well, chances are you already know how to
Why was
convert
this
that.
not a thing in Genesis?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Thank you for
They
quoting
also-
me exactly, right? I mean, fuck. I've lost that thing so
Yeah,
many times.
they're offering the blueprints to print out a separate backplate that has the little grippy buttons, which also holds the USB thingy. And that's great. Like Ven and Jordan already said, it's why didn't it have that from Genesis?
I mean, speaking from personal experience, I've lost that thing maybe like 3-4 times because I needed something plugged into the front-facing USB port. I'll put this here, and I'm going to remember it's here, right? Wrong.
No.
So it's like throw shit up on my desk. Where'd it go? Fuck!
Jordan, I got one word for you, man. Velcro.
Oh god, I'm turning into my grandfather. It's oh god.
All right, I just want to say, I mean, they released the CAD files for this, and F and all if I could find anything that legitimately opened them properly, and I was like, we're in a very sad state when it comes to this with the Linux.
Isn't there a Blender plugin?
Maybe. I don't know. Didn't try that hard. But...
Okay.
A lot of people are like, oh, you can reconfigure it and do all this. And I was like, well, you're still going to have the printed PCB. So unless you're going to be wiring that stuff out, or like Valve's going to sell you like some module parts or something like that, you're not going to be adding a whole lot more than like a hot pocket holder. But Pedro, you disagree.
Sort of. I mean, this is a good idea. It let people with 3D printers print the accessories or enhancement to the Areola controller. And it's not just the visual stuff, as it might actually make the controller more accessible for those of us that don't exactly have symmetrical hands.
Well,
yeah.
like Ben said, though, unless like the actual internal, like the PCB has some detachable stuff for the areolas and the buttons, and it's not just all soldered onto the board itself, it's going to be like a very extensive modification to do something like that, well beyond the abilities like most normal people. And of course, Valve is saying, if you're going to sell this, ask us, because we're going to buy you out if your plans are good.
This is Creative Commons. All of these files were released as Creative Commons, so keep that in mind.
Okay, well, it's time.
Oh, yes. So apparently there was a rumor floating around that there was going to be some delays to the Vive and people weren't going to be getting them as soon as possible. So Mr. Dan O'Brien, not the one from crack.com, but the HTC vice president of VR, has gone on Twitter and said that apparently by April 5th, people should start arriving or start receiving their Vives. So mark your calendars, because I propose that due to the fact that this is a toaster that fucks your face, we should call this day the face fucking.
I kind of agree with that. Shutrealm, I believe Empty has ordered a Vive, so I just want to see him sit and vibrate while we're waiting for the Linux support, which hopefully will be short-coming.
Like I said, yeah. I'm hoping there's a fall-off-your-chair simulator for VR. It's going to be perfect for him.
Well, at least we won't have to worry whether or not Empty's still alive at that point.
That will be a thing. But here it is. We talked about it last week. 100% confirmed. It's out. It's native. And it's a very well done port. I mean, mostly positive. We're actually going to be throwing some chairs at it later on. So we're not going to say a whole lot about it.
No Mac!
No Mac. Oh, right. All right.
Mac users are pissed.
Less than 0.4, maybe 0.5 nanoseconds after the Linux release, and they started showing up in the discussion forums on their Steam page. Yeah, the Mac users literally spooled up their shitfest drive, and we're like, what the hell, guys?
Well, let me put something forward, because you could just dual boot Windows, right?
Fair point.
Well, that's what boot camp's there for.
Thank you, Ted. That was the joke.
It does run very well, I believe, in all of our systems, but I said we will definitely get into that more in the review. But, yeah, not a neon port. Looks good, right?
Oh, but you know what else is not a neon port?
It's a damn good port from the looks of things. So, yeah.
You know what else isn't an neon port?
No.
Tomb Raider.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, so the wait is over. We've been speculating on this for weeks. Feral has been posting pictures of Stonehenge, because really, who the fuck builds a Stonehenge? Apparently Feral does. And they're porting the 2013 version of Tomb Raider. We were all a little worried that this is going to be another Eon port, but it's going to be full native. And I really think this is testing the waters, though, because
yeah,
I mean, if Tomb Raider does well, that means we could possibly get Deus Ex, and that would be awesome.
That means we could possibly get the entire lineup of Square Enix games going forward. That's exactly kind of awesome.
Final Fantasy, Deus Ex, Tomb Raiders. If in my darkest, deepest hopes, they're going to bring back Legacy of Kain, but they're totally not going to do it because they suck. But
they'll bring back Daikatana before they bring back Legacy of Kain.
Definitely one thing I got to say about the announcement, though. We love Feral. They're awesome. And they've been doing, Flying Spaghetti Monsters work. But their lead up to the announcement was an announcement. Okay.
Yeah.
Yo dog.
Right. There was a bit of confusion in one of their posts. It said it was going to come out on April 1st. And they're like, oh, nope. Our bad. Coming this spring, as with all other announcements. I'm absolutely looking forward to this. Tomb Raider, Linux. Yes, it's happening.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is good. It's not a neon port.
It is a harbinger, hopefully a positive harbinger of things to come. Because, like I said, if it does go well, Square Enix is in our court, and that's a lot of games. That is
a lot.
Up next, X gonna give it to you.
Speaking of Feral, yeah, they finally released the Children of Anarchy DLC for Linux and Mac. Obviously, they had been delayed on accounts of some issues, but they have since released a patch along with the availability of the DLC. Now, if you bought the premium / deluxe / turbo edition, you already have this, so don't bother paying for it again. Just saying.
This is the biggest thing I wanted to point out, because Jordan and I know this firsthand. Slow communications with internet players resulting in delays between it.
I kind of want to take the Pepsi challenge on that, then.
Like I said, I thought this game was going to be fantastic in a year, but if they've genuinely got a lot of this sorted out, because it was just like laughable, and me and Jordan were having conversations, like waiting, and I would hear Jordan go, "You mother," and I was like, "I did that like 3 minutes ago, dude." So.
No, and then I'd hear, "Oh, fuck you! You mind controlled me." This back and forth over the better part of an hour. It's good that they're fixing it. And according to MT, because he played a little bit more of that, they did actually improve the performance quite significantly. But did they fix the caps lock issue? That is the one true.
Apparently, according to some of the comments on that thread, if you push caps lock, you still get to skip the loading screen when you're coming back to the
did they
Avenger
apply that to
from
all the other loading screens that take 15 billion years to complete?
No, I guess those are actually loading stuff. It's just the one when you're coming back that wasn't actually loading anything, and for some reason it was taking stupidly long. Yeah.
But you know, speaking of space, you know, sometimes you just realize I don't want to live on this planet anymore, and you want to go take a spaceship off in space. Well, this game will, for the low price of $40, give you an early access peek of something that will let you do this. This is Heathen Engineering Terran. It's a title that makes about as much sense as Pedro's English on a day-to-day basis, but there it is. It is a game where
is better than that.
Marginally, little
marginally, but still better.
We're splitting hairs here, but this is essentially a single player EVE Online where you can build your own ship and you can do like space skirmishes or capital fleet fights or so on and so forth. And all I can think of is this is just like a super ambitious single player.
I gotta interject with this. I was just looking at the herky jerky, and it's like, Brad, if you're gonna make a trailer for something you're gonna try to get 40 quid for, maybe not this of an entire video.
Well, what I was gonna say is it smacks to me like a super ambitious single player EVE that will forever be in early access. I sincerely doubt this will ever leave early access.
Yeah, because the whole thing that you were saying, single player EVE.
Yeah,
what's the point then?
Exactly. I mean, it has VR. I can see maybe the appeal from that, but part of the whole thing about EVE is like forming your fleets and your corporations. This is just doing that, except it's masturbatory, and it's not even the fun kind of masturbatory. So I don't know.
Yeah, no.
All right,
but it's Candace the Baby's incredibly trick lifestyle.
Yellow swag.
I don't. Okay, so I saw Jim Sterling playing this game. I'm good, thanks. But the Steam page description says that it is a. Let's see. I'm Candace in it. That's me up in the photo, the biggest one as I am well important. And this is an action RPG all about the incredible trick lifestyle of me and my mates. Now, if that sentence doesn't have you cringing and walking away right now.
Hang on, I got blood coming out of my nose. Give me one.
Hold on. I'm crunching some numbers, and according to my estimates, this game will give you cancer even faster than sitting in a tanning booth.
I honestly don't know how this even made it to Steam, but apparently it's a thing. And
it's definitely
there,
a thing. And today we learned that Jordan thinks people sit in tanning booths.
lie down in tanning booths, whatever. Stay in tanning booth vicinity, because even if you're around it, you get cancer. That's how they work. I've spoken. Yes.
Yeah, I saw Jim Sterling's playthrough. Well, he called it a squirty play at the time. Now he's changed it to Jimpressions, which I think makes a hell of a lot more sense. And this
play was a bit appropriate.
This game is. I can't. I honestly can't.
It's giving him brain cancer, you guys. We gotta get him some chemotherapy quick.
20 positive reviews, and the first one's an absolute horror show, as well as an assault on the
I wonder
ears.
why.
You know, we might pick this up just for some laughs later on, but let's talk about Ground Fox.
Seriously hope not.
64, because this is Poly Race. Let's show off your racing skills! ! Hurdle through randomized tracks using procedural algorithm. Lovely. So you don't get to learn them. Try to retry and race time. Challenge your friend. It's in a 10-minute. Okay, how do you challenge your friends in a single player partial? You know what?
Time trials, dude. It's like Action Hank.
Think about like a budget Star Fox 64 stuck on the ground, and Pedro. We haven't played it, we haven't tried it, but I can smell the Unity scream of nope from here, man.
Yeah, you just look at the screenshots. That's there was that other spaceship racing game that came out a while back, Valens, which was horrible.
Actually,
yeah.
this sort of reminds me of Race the Sun a little bit because it also
It does. It really does. It's
except Race the Sun was at least somewhat fun. I don't know about this.
Yep. Well, the biggest thing I take from this is like making it you can shadow race yourself. That's code for there's no AI opponents. Ghost multiplayer, right? Come on.
Yep.
1104 is just a big, nice fuck you check mark on the end of that. What were you saying, Bina?
No, $13. They expect people to pay $13 for that.
Oh, they do.
Not even Race the Sun was that expensive, but they was $10.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the Heathen game is $40 for less, so make of that what you will. But
true.
Coming up next, NVIDIA stops being beta, and I don't know, some furries, something related. I kind of lost track there.
Boys and girls, this is usually the news segment, but before we get to that, we have some very special people to thank.
We got a very special person to thank because, he was one of these wonderful humans who goes over to LinuxGameCast.com/support the shows and he clicked on that first link, which goes to our Patreon page, but we'll get back to that in a little bit because we also got some lovely, lovely Amazon affiliate links that you can just click on to buy stuff through Amazon. Doesn't cost you anything and it kicks us a couple shekels. And we're bad because when we buy stuff on Amazon, we don't use it. So you should.
Yep.
We also got some PayPal one-time donato buttons. You can set up a recurring donation through PayPal as well, if that is your bag. But you're better off kicking over to patreon.com/LinuxGameCast, where, like Mr. Matthew L., he donated a small pittance a week to better enable us to be gigantic assholes on the internet. It's great. We're at $138. We're getting close to that $200 goal, in which you will make me play through Serious Sam 3, a game that I despise with a fiery passion that rivals my gonorrhea currently. But if you can't afford to kick us a little bit a week, and really we're only asking for a 5-cent show, but we understand sometimes you're strapped for cash. That can be a lot. Just spread the word, man. Just Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, go to a preschool and tell them to watch Linux Gamecast, and then wait for the police to show up and drag you to jail. It's fantastic. It's good times. It's
then
wonderful.
Tell your cellmates.
Oh yeah, tell your cellmates because they might get internet access in jail. Who knows? But to kick on over to the news, NVIDIA has released a driver, and it is the first. It is the 364.12 beta driver, and it is the first non-special Vulkan build of the driver to have Vulkan supports. That's one of the main things that comes with this release. The other cool one is they've added initial Wayland support. Well, specifically EGL support. So where your Waylands and that other fucking one, we're not going to mention it.
You monster, Mir is the future of Linux desktops.
He's in chat roll, man. Don't give him any encouragement.
Don't give him lip. He's right there.
He's right there. But EGL extensions and EGL streams are now understandable. So any of you who are running the latest version of KDE, or if you're on Fedora, there's a Wayland GNOME preview. Check this out. See if it works. I'm genuinely curious. I didn't get a chance to fuck around with it this week. But the other cool thing I think this was actually in one of the driver betas as well, was now you can run Steam Overlay and your Vulkan game at once and not suffer horrible performance loss.
Yeah, that was definitely something we were running the before this. If you're playing with the Vulkan sauce, you were running the 355.
355, 27, 28, and 26.
Right. And
29.
Put this in. This is good to get some of the new benefits and all that. And yes, it's going to be fun to playing with the hardware acceleration with Mir. Not that horrible newfangled Wayland that no one will use.
No one at all.
Waiting for lightning. Okay, we're clear. No, I tested it out. This compared to 355, plus minus 1 FERP on the Talos. I think you got roughly the same.
Yeah, I got about the same performance I did with .29, so I'm guessing they just imported that code base to the new driver, and that's good. Also, one of the things... GLVND, the vendor neutral drivers, are now the default. So
no more shady NVIDIA hacks. None.
Yeah. If you're getting games all of a sudden on Steam that don't launch that used to work, go back a couple of shows, there'll be a GLVND disallow patching variable that you can put in the run thing on Steam.
Yeah, the launch options.
Yeah.
But in other NVIDIA news, they are releasing in a limited capacity the source code to Hairworks. And I'm still very disappointed that no one has come up with the Super Saiyan demo for this.
I just want to know, are they serious? Supports off-the-shelf grooming tools? Is that NVIDIA just being cheeky, or is that just a thing I'm...
Probably, yeah.
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. We should maybe ask Aaron Plattner if they enforce a mandatory grooming policy at NVIDIA. But if you want to check this out, it's currently they provide you the source in Unreal Engine 4. It's currently DirectX 11 only, but now that it's out there, people are going to start working on it very much like FaceWorks. And it's fantastic because if you're writing a game for OpenGL or even DirectX, this will kill performance on AMD cards, making the people who own them feel really, really bad about themselves.
Monster Cameron will hate you at that point. But yeah, like Jordan mentioned, this is DirectX 11 only for the time being, and I'm guessing NVIDIA is pulling an AMD and looking to the community to actually help them migrate this over to the OpenGLs and the Vulcans, which, may not be a completely horrible idea.
Well, they did the same thing with FaceWorks as well, so yeah, this is not to be unexpected.
They're just making good on the promises, man. But
Yep.
We all remember that original Soma
Under the Sea.
Game. No, it's Soma. Frictional's talking about, what's the deal, Brad? Like 6 months later, let's talk about the sales,
post-mortem
and the modding scene. They got the reactions, what they plan on the future. One thing I didn't know reading through this, because we've almost made up our budget, what we spent on the game, and I was like, what? This thing sold pretty well. Like, yeah, we spent like 5 years developing. And I was like, that'll do it. That will do it. Yes. One thing they brought up with the sales is, I want to quote them correctly. They said, people lump our titles into the current horrific, frictional game. Yep. And they were kind of say, well, this definitely happens every time we release a new frictional game. The sales of a previous game decline and
stop.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, okay, but it's a frictional title. I love you, frictional, but let's be honest with each other, ladies and gentlemen. You can spot a frictional title from fuck Mothering Orbit.
Yeah, and they have one note.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because you guys
play the note well.
Are the clit commanders of this genre. You know how to do it right, and yep. I'm not going to say you're stuck in a rut, but reading through, your bit of a post-mortem there, trying to say that Soma was really branching away from your Penumbras, Machine for Pigs, even though it was kind of Chinese room deal, Amnesias. It really wasn't.
No, it wasn't. You see, Yahtzee mentioned this in his Soma Zero Punctuation, where he said that, it's a horror game, a first-person horror game with puzzles and everything else that's available on Steam, and it's from Frictional. So why did you say the exact same thing twice? But yeah, they actually mentioned in the postmortem that, and I quote, "But since Soma is in many ways quite different from Amnesia, we thought it wouldn't happen this time. The whole, the moment they release a new game, their previous games just stop selling. So you guys have seen it happen every single time, and you expected this time to be different? That is the literal definition of insanity. But hey, we love you guys. I really liked Soma, but I didn't like it quite as much as I did the original Amnesia, The Dark Descent. And I didn't really like The Dark Descent quite as much as I liked Penumbra. The Penumbra series, to me, is one of the best horror game series out there. What really killed it for me in Soma were the glowing head WoW monsters that caused the campus. Yeah,
such monsters.
WAU.
Very scary.
WAU. It was the AI in the facility in Soma. It's minor spoiler, but yeah. Those monstrosities with the glowing head, they would cause the camera to go full metal headache-inducing pixely. That did not sit well with me.
I guess that was the point. And one thing they did bring up in this article as well is, well, there is sort of a saturation of this sort of survival horror game. Back in the days of Amnesia, The Dark Descent, that was sort of the main game. If you wanted that sort of survival horror on PC, you would go to that franchise. But now we've had a lot of people just copying it. We got that Dread out. We got that multiplayer game where you get like three people lost in the woods. Layer Cake of Fear.
White Noise Online.
White Noise Online. That's the one I was talking about. But yeah, there are a lot of these games now, and that causes fatigue because there's so much on the market. And while Frictional does do the best out of this lot of people do get tired of that sort of genre and they want to play different games.
I mean, that's definitely something.
Maybe it's time to branch out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, want to reinforce. I mean, Soma was different that it was underwater. That's about as far as we can legitimately.
I felt it was a little more sci-fi than horror.
Yeah, it was.
Kind of, but same genre. And they do it so beautifully. We've seen so many. I mean, the Layers of Fear. I mean, as soon as I see a hand, I think immediately of Amnesia, and I think that anybody other than them are doing it wrong because I can't interact with every single thing in the environment like I can when I know it's coming from Frictional. And full disclosure, like for their past two games, Machine for Pigs and Soma, they did send us keys. I mean, we're just giving you our honest opinion with this. But if we're going to talk about sales, let's talk about how sometimes they don't go as planned.
Yeah, let's not pull any punches with this one either. Yeah, this is Punch Club. They released some statistics on their sales, and they said that it sold around 300,000 copies total and got pirated over 1 million times on PC and 500,000 times on mobile. Now, this should be surprising to no one, but there we are. They did their post-mortem of their own. And one thing to point out, adding Brazilian Portuguese made Brazil the top pirated country. Yep.
So really what I'm taking away from this article is if you want to curtail piracy of your game, neglect the Portuguese.
You know what?
cares.
That's maybe not a bad idea, because most people here in Portugal, whenever we see a shoddy localization in Portuguese or even a Brazilian Portuguese localization, will just cringe and revert to the English original, as the case may be. We actually don't care all that much, but the Brazilian folks care a lot. And piracy is rampant in Brazil because of the game price markup that they have. Until developers realize that said markup is astronomical, this is not going to change. Shit's gonna get pirated.
There's also quite a bit of like just I don't want to bring up the word entitlement, but piracy is a big part of software culture in Brazil. That is a fact. Microsoft has been fighting that fight for years.
Because there is an astronomical markup on the prices of software. It's Brazil, Australia, and a few other countries that people just price software stupidly high. I mean, a game, let's say a AAA game that would cost $60 in the US goes for around the equivalent to $120, $130 in Brazil. That's stupid.
I don't know. The biggest thing I took away with the big shocking thing is the piracy on mobile, which
Android.
Android sideloading pirated games from the internet. Do you want NSA on your phone? Because that's how you get NSA on your phone, or keyloggers, or just imagine everything else that could entail. I'm sure Linux actual piracy was not. Maybe
there wasn't any,
or minimal. Like consider the total number of Linux users out there, and consider how many of them realized if we pirate the game, they'll stop making it for Linux.
They're not generally available. Yeah. I mean, I can't tell you how many emails I received about that Skyrim how-to I did years ago about people like trying to be sly. They're like, how do I get Skyrim to install in my special version? I was like, well, first you eat a bag of dicks, then you fuck off, you fucking pirate.
Yeah, the thing about piracy is that it's not so much not paying the price. people won't mind paying for games. We've seen that with Linux. There weren't any major games coming out for Linux for years and years. And the moment that Steam came to Linux, people actually started paying for games. That was pretty good. And
we've got a bit Smeagolish with that, though. That's kind of why.
Yeah. Yeah, but piracy is more of a quality of service thing. If you offer a good enough service for the exact same price that you're offering in other countries, people will not pirate your stuff. It's that easy.
I don't know specifically about Brazil, because again, like I said, it's been a part of their culture for at least a while, as long as like software distribution has been a part of Brazilian culture.
Oh, absolutely. But you do want to bring. Pricing. I mean, Maddie actually has a very good point. Something we brought up in the show. How many times have people said, "Well, I'm waiting for the DRM-free GOG version before I."
Because they want to download it from the Pirate Bay, for instance. Yeah.
But you know, speaking of not paying, Pedro.
Yes.
Some people have
apparently, yeah, they were actually still taking money from people, even though the company had basically gone bankrupt. Hi, Bad Juju. Sorry to see you guys go. Yeah, Desura is officially gone. It's dead. I hope you downloaded all your games when I told you to, because not even the Google Cache website is loading properly. I had to go to the web archive to find the latest snapshot, which was from March 16th. So yeah.
Honestly, I'm surprised it took them that long, considering they were saying they ran out of money a while ago.
Well, yeah, I mean, they basically, it was like, everything's fine, and everyone could clearly see, with all the developers going, we're not getting paid, and
it's that gun show comic. Everything's on fire. This is fine.
Right.
Things are playing out exactly the way I want them to.
There genuinely seemed to be a nice lass who was their PR person. So
yeah.
She wrote, and she's like, no, everything. And she apparently knew nothing. They kept her out of the loop because like 2 days later, they're like, yep, bankruptcy. And
they fired a bunch of people.
Yeah, the horrible thing
is they fired her.
Whatever collection agency, and I'm just going to continue talking. And whatever collection agency did this, they've kept it open. And if you're buying anything on Desura, they would take your money, but the developers were not getting it because Pedro, you even brought up they couldn't like delete their stuff, but they could change the price of their game.
They couldn't change. They could change the pricing, but they couldn't actually remove their games from the store. So most developers just went in and put their games at like $1,000 for the price tag, so just to stop people from actually buying it. But yeah, you were talking about their PR person. She only found out that she was canned through Twitter.
Oh, right.
Through Bad Juju's Twitter, because they said, oh, yeah, we went bankrupt. And she was like, oh, I didn't even know about that.
Yeah.
And we did have the famous interaction with the guys who bought Desura from, what was it, Lin Labs or whatever the creators decided.
Yeah, Lin Lab.
And because I remember him saying, and I was like, did you guys like wake up from a meth binge and go, that sounds like a good idea? And they go, no, it was more of an alcohol binge, but we think we're going to have a go of it. And I said, good luck. And here we go.
Scumbag Bag Juju is now getting their chickens are coming home to roost. But coming up next, the Desura developers aren't getting paid, but we are. We're throwing Payday 2 at chairs. Yeah, that's it. Live. So Patreon has not been paying as well as we have hoped. So we've decided to rob banks, but then we've decided that actually requires effort. And so we just decided to throw some chairs at Payday 2 from Overkill, a Starbreeze studio. It's on the Diesel Engine 2.0. You can pick it up for around $20. It's on crazy sale, and I think they're having a free weekend too. So you can pick that up for dirt cheap if you're catching this live. If you're not watching us live, well, you should be. We also got the CHAIRQUISITIon. Oh, whatever. It's what is it? Payday 2 is an action-packed 4-player co-op shooter that once again lets gamers don the masks of the original Payday crew as they descend on Washington D.C. in an epic crime spree. Whatever. CHAIRQUISITIon. 1 chair means that it's garbage. 2 chairs means that it's meh. 3 chairs means that it's awesome-ish. And 4 chairs means that it's awesome proper. We also got categories of Doom mixed with the working shiny sounds, controls, and fun that we're going to throw these various chairs at. So let's kick this off. Then, did Payday 2 make with the working?
There's a couple of things we're going to have to talk about, but how does it run on the Ubuntu 1404 LTS 8150 CPU powered, running a 980 and 4, well, not really 4K, but UHD. Runs pretty good, Brad. Really liked it. The first few times you start this, it might show up at 800 by 600, and that's a bit jarring at 3840 by 2160. I mean, it genuinely looks like an old DOS game. I don't know what exactly stopped it from doing that, but it eventually learned and obeyed. So that's no longer an issue. Originally, if you were playing with the bots, the AI, it had a pretty severe performance dip. I mean, coming down sometimes to like 45 frames per second at 1080, which is kind of miserable. But whatever moon patch, you know, that new Henry or whatever it was at 2.2 gigajoules released the other day, even though it didn't mention it, completely fixed that. There is nothing to complain about. Completely native, absolute solid piece of kit. And that's why it's going to get 4 chairs for makes for the working.
Yeah, my monitor is actually 4096 by 4096, true 4K. No, it isn't. But on the Fedora 22 powered 64-bit with the i7 6700K, the GTX 980, 32 gigs of DDR4 RAM, and some rando SSDs. Oh yeah, it ran perfectly fine, aside from some issues with Steam completely fucking up the download. As then
Twice.
MT and Pedro waited patiently for me to re-download big chunks of the entire game. Yeah, it ran perfectly fine. It seems to be locked at 60, so it doesn't tend to go higher, even if you have VSync disabled. Interestingly enough, both MT and Ven reported the issue where the resolution wouldn't stick depending on or between game restarts. I did not run into that. So just a point, 4 chairs.
Yeah, I didn't run into that either, but then again, on my end, it did not stick to 60. In fact, through most of the gameplay, I was getting 100 plus FERPs on the FX 8370E with the GTX 970 Strix on Fedora 2364-bit. So really, 4 chairs.
All right, that's 4 chairs for Mex with the working. Up next is the shiny and the sounds. Then how did it sound or shine?
Even with anisotropic filtering set at 16x, the jaggies were hella visible at 1080. And I'm not one that normally complains about the jaggies, so you need to take that with a cup of chainsaw. That was a bit bothersome. Cranking it up to 2160, it's going to sort most of that. And again, it runs fine at 2160 with a 980. I guess visually, the easiest way to describe Payday 2 is Left 4 Dead 2 with a slight graphical upgrade that takes place mostly during the day, maybe. You get your environments. They range from malls, banks, to warehouses, and a somewhat unique meth lab. That's a very fun experience that we learned last night. And there's also this great freeway level. Stay away from that because it'll just get you killed to death. That's a true story. The gun sounds, let's get into that. They go pew, they go bang. Nothing really to report home, and you do have on almost every mission, you know, your radio announcer who's like, okay, I'll be there in, 3 minutes, and you have 4 more minutes to try to stay alive before you get curb stomped, to tell you about your current task. But that's completely drowned out by the wub music. I mean, it really is like dubstep type things going on. But you're going to want to keep that on because 9 times out of 13, right when it hits the drop, that's when the fuzz, the 5-0, the bobbies, your constables, that's when they show up. And it's kind of a good thing to keep that a little bit low, maybe on the right channel. It's like, okay, now it's about to get real. I liked it. It looked good. Performs amazing. And I'm not going to knock it on the sounds because later on you'll learn that really the only sounds you want in this game are your teammates and your ear organs. So I'm going to give it a solid 3.
Oh yeah, completely stole my first point. But yes, if you're focusing on the soundtrack instead of the screaming of your buddies or yourself screaming at the AI, you're doing it wrong. Yeah, graphically it looks fine. Certainly fairly par for the course for games of that era, though it really does make with the jaggies. And I'm less to complain about anti-aliasing than even then. And I was just like, damn, I could cut myself on some of these textures. That's pretty bad. And I mean, there is voice acting in this game. It is competently done, although the majority of it is just people screaming at you. But I mean, that's pretty good. I'll give it 3 cheers.
Yeah, more than once I found myself just killing the wave of cops that was coming my way, and then getting one of the NPCs just randomly shouting, "They're here! They're here!" And nothing happened. Yeah, the wub wub itself got muted pretty damn fast. I honestly couldn't deal with that. And I guess just to reiterate what Ben and Jordan already said, I don't think I've ever needed anti-aliasing as much as I do for this game. Everything is, you can see the stairs on everything. Just walk away from a shelf and look at like the top of it, and you can see, you could probably walk up those stairs. The sound effects are on point, but I'd like to have an option to, you know, have surround sound. I'm not even going to ask for 7.1, which this particular headset supports. Just 5.1 would do. Counter-Strike Global Offensive has it. Why doesn't this one?
It does. Mine launches with 5.
Well, on my end, it would just give me stereo.
Sucks to be you.
Yeah. So 3 chairs.
All right, that's 3 chairs with an asteroid for sucking to be Pedro. Point taken. Up next is Control. Ben, how did it control?
Well, Moon Baby, not a whole lot to report. This is your standard WASD plus grab your local gerbil that you can rebind most everything. I think Jordan is going to bring up maybe some issues with some things that he couldn't rebind for reloading, but that's not normally how I set my things up. Didn't need to futz around with it out of the box, and that is the important thing. Logically laid out. I didn't have to go digging around in the settings. I like that. You know, there's a lot to learn, a lot of keys to move about when, like, you're deploying your trip mines and, you know, stealing your business and all that. But if I had to find one small fault with this, it would be the crouching system, because your left control crouch is either on or off. It doesn't. At first,
toggle.
Actually, there is a option that will fix that.
I was about to say that. That does exist, but after you play a couple of missions and get into it, you realize it's probably best to leave that on, because it's a good idea to stay crouched a lot, especially when you're smashing up a Windows store. So, you know, 4 chairs. And it also does apparently work with the Xbox controller, but why?
I mean, I'd understand. I didn't actually try it with the Steam controller, but actually playing that with the Steam controller would have been interesting. But yeah, it is standard FPS fare, aside from a couple gripes that were just sort of nitpicky. I had to switch the Q and the C binding because Q was deploy gadget, C was switch weapon, and I'm very used to Q as switch weapon, and I just set C to deploy gadget. And I think that every game out there uses Q as switch weapon. Even Metro does, so what's going on with that? I don't even know. And just as a nitpick, I really dislike iron sights in games. I guess this is just me growing up with Counter-Strike and Quake 3 and all that shit. But honestly, like, I don't like having half the screen obscured by my gun. I'd rather just have the crosshair. But again, I understand why they did that, because it changes the pace of the game when you're in iron sights mode, but that's just me. So I'll give that 4 chairs. No real issues. Everything worked fine.
Yeah. It has rebindable controls and a mouse sensitivity slider that actually works. Which is kind of sad that that's actually a positive nowadays, but yeah, there it is. The shooting feels responsive enough, not responsible, for a game that actively pushes stealth, or at least a much more tactical approach to certain missions. As someone who plays a lot of Counter-Strike Global Offensive, I don't particularly like the shooting in this game, but more on that later. For the controls, I really can't find anything to fault this game with, so 4 chairs.
All right, so that's 4 chairs for the control. And finally, we got the final subjective category. Fun.
Subjective as it may be, this is a game of 2 sides, but let's just go ahead and get this out of the way, because Payday 2 has some 30-odd bits of DLC that it really, 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 really wants you to buy. Come on, buy it. It's everywhere. Then again, it's not as bad as, what was it, Company as a Hero 2?
Oh, yeah.
Which was genuinely just like 90% just like buy stuff. It's not that bad. In fact, when it comes to what it does. I mean, it's very difficult to find a single menu in game that does not mention some type of available DLC. I get it. And yes, you know what? I know about the pay-to-win snafu, but everything I'm about to say comes from the perspective of someone who never spend, I'm not going to spend a dime on it. I'm going to play it vanilla as is, minus the initial buy-in price, which we got it on the cheap over a year ago. So, long as we're cool with that, let's talk about the game itself, because the game is absolute rubbish. It's horrible. It's a miserable experience. But that's only if you play it alone. If you're playing in Forever Alone mode with the AI, outside of using that, how to figure out how to set up your characters, learn about your skill tree, and maybe robbing a bank, because that's the only thing I can successfully do with the pants-on-head retarded AI. They're good enough to point at corners and shoot. That's about it. You can't really give them commands or anything like that. But throw all that out the window. If you can get your mates together like we did last night, it was Jordan, MT, Pedro, and myself, and you get the Skypes going, and especially on a level that where somebody, we happened to hit a bank that I'd hit before. It's like, okay, I have some idea how this works. It's like, over there, get it ready. And we were able to drill through and it was fantastic. And later on, if you're watching the produced version of this, it's probably behind me right now. We were in the mall and we were doing like the second take. We had to smash like 50,000 quid worth of stuff. And we were just dead as dead gets. And we finally got extracted. And I mean, Empty was like slapping his desk. And I was like, yeah. Then we played another one where Empty forgot to throw a jewelry thing into a van and got us both killed to death. Almost killed to death. We managed to.
Yeah, he got me killed to death.
Or he got you killed to death. And that's a thing. It's 75% off. I can't imagine even then buying this unless you have a group of people to play it with. Playing with randos online, there's no way to coordinate that. I couldn't imagine unless you just knew the game inside out. Not a fan of almost every screen showing up, especially like weapons inventory and bits like that saying DLC, DLC, DLC. It's like, oh, what I would like to progress this is like, well, you need this DLC from this game or what. It's like, don't care. Vanilla like that, if you got some people you just want to get together and have some fun with, worth it. 75% off. Pick it up on the off chance that you make some friends. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to give this a solid 3 chairs with an asteroid, just because single player, it's horrible. If you're going to play in Forever Alone mode, don't even waste your time.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, this game does get its 3 chairs. That's what I'm going to give it. For one fact and one fact alone, multiplayer with your friends is ridiculously fun. The game basically boils down to Left 4 Criminal, because you take your Left 4 Dead template and you basically supplant cops or zombies with cops. The single player is severely lacking. I mean, I wanted to play multiplayer first because I knew this is at its core a multiplayer game. The single player just does not stack up. The bots are just completely retarded. I tried doing a mission where you had to like steal some gold, and I almost made it through, except for I couldn't find a smoke bomb. And if I had some sort of dispatch control for the AI, I would have pulled it off. But instead, I got to do all this shit by myself while they just go herp derp shoot shoot. I mean, the game is actually really deep, despite the massive amount of pay-to-win shit. There's a fairly deep customization system that you can determine what kind of robber you're going to be.
We were spending like 20 minutes in inventory before doing a load.
Oh yeah, no, that is totally a legitimate thing. There's like weapon mods, there's character mods. You can like reconfigure your character on the fly before a mission, which is pretty neat. There are various masks. There's a lot of stuff in this game. Like if you want to take the time and play through it with your friends, there's a lot of game to go through. But a lot of this stuff, like I said, is locked behind DLC. It's so much DLC. And if you didn't buy like the special cross promotion shit, don't even bother. That's where all the interesting shit is. Joining the Steam group for this game does actually get you some stuff, but it's not cool. And despite all this, I had a blast playing with Empty Ven and Pedro. Fun is fun, and that's what I got to say about it. Aside from the police have apparently mastered the instant transmission technique, because they just kind of appear sometimes. 3 chairs.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose it's time to throw a wrench in this orchestra, as it were. I've been singing with the choir this whole time, and now it's time for me to go off script. Well, the first thing I see when I start this game is a fucking ad for downloadable content. Guess that's to set the tone for the rest of the game. When you're not in a mission, there's always ads scrolling down the bottom left-hand side of the screen telling you to get the new DLC. The top item in the main goddamn menu is a big blinking button telling you to buy DLC. This is usually a $20 game. Why are you pushing free-to-play marketing bullshit? Weren't these the guys that said that they wouldn't actually do pay-to-win bullshit DLC, but then totally went and did it? Oh, yeah. Yeah, they were. I suppose it's a good thing that they let you play it for free until the 31st. But, yeah, that's enough bitching about DLC. Let's get into the actual game. You may remember a few weeks past when I said that in a game, I'll take solid gameplay over narrative any day of the week. You may also remember when I've mentioned that I don't like real-time strategy games. While I think that the gameplay and mechanics of Payday 2 are damn solid, and you should definitely at least try it for free until the 31st, I personally do not like tactical first-person shooters. The only one of those I ever played to some extent was the original Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six from 1998, and I didn't like that either. The only reason I'm even remotely competent in other first-person shooters like Counter-Strike Global Offensive is because that game specifically rewards lone wolf tactics. I can run around and nope people with any gun I damn well please, and no one gives me shit for it. Unless I kill them and then they call me a cheater and a hacker. Payday 2 is a stealth game that requires everyone to know exactly what to do, or else there'll be cops. And what's that? You don't like those weapons that you start with because you start with the same shitty MCAR rifle and the same shitty Glock rip-off pistol. You don't like those weapons? Maybe you'd rather have a shotgun or a sniper rifle in order to be useful. Well, hope you have some friends to carry your picky ass over a couple of missions so you can buy those weapons. Or, drop some actual money on the bullshit DLC. No, back Pedro. We're done with that. Okay. If you're playing offline, the brain dead AI teammates will get shot down within minutes of the first assault. Forget getting into an online game with randos, like Van and Jordan already mentioned. You'll get kicked almost immediately until you're anywhere north of level 20. I did not have fun with this game. Even while I was playing with Van and Jordan, I didn't like it. Wouldn't share.
All right. Well, let's back up the ambulance a little bit, because that's 2 chairs for fun, and if we total all this up, we still get a 3-chair game. So, final thoughts, gentlemen?
There is one.
Go ahead.
There is just one very good thing that came out with this particular Linux release. It's yet another engine that now supports DOS, and judging by how good this port was, I'm looking forward to other kinds of games that may come with it.
If I had to say one thing, is I think one of the reasons I like this game is something that we were slowly learning last night, is even in team mode, is maybe I'm thinking a bit sideways, was like this would be a really good thing to put, one line of us playing, because this game rewards you for, you genuinely have to do teamwork and work coordinated efforts, and it's not about going in guns blazing. That's the quickest way to get killed to death in this game, period. It rewards you for using a little bit of stealth and common sense, like maybe pulling off a heist would. I don't know. Jordan?
God damn it, Empty. You throw the fucking bag in the van, and then we leave. You don't, we're gonna run around and shoot cops. Fucking Empty, seriously. No, I mean, This game, I enjoyed it. If you don't have friends, you're probably not going to enjoy playing this game because the single player is garbage. Pick up a 4-pack, find some people on the street and say, hey, we're playing video games together, and then lock them in your basement and never let them go. But yeah, I can see why there would be some definite hate for the game. And Strider and Chatroom brought this up to counter Pedro's point. There isn't really any game outside the Payday series that actually uses this engine, but it still means that future efforts from this company will probably come out on Linux.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. So coming up next, we get some face melting warnings that don't really warrant any warnings.
All right, we're about, almost done, and it's time to get into some hate mail. And how to get in touch with us, you can go on over to linuxgamecast.com. Push the contact button, fill out the form. It's easy. Unless you're trying to promote your game, just send us some keys. If you just want to, scream disparaging remarks about our mothers, you can do so on the YouTube comments because, that's what they're there for. Or if you would like to, get in touch with us, leave some constructive criticism, as it were, you can do so on our Patreon page as well, patreon.com/LinuxGameCast. It's easy. Just, don't be an ass or be whatever.
And
I don't
remember,
know
Jordan also answers questions about relationship advice.
I do. It's a weekly advice column about how to keep your relationship nice and stable. You can also click on the contact page, fill out the form, and if you're gonna send us shit about your game and how you want us to talk about it, give us some keys, or else
all right,
we'll kill you. Yeah, I'll blow you up with my mind.
Brad, chat it.
Brad, Rocky.
All right, I guess I'll take this. Vin, I've noticed that you like the rocks and the rolls. If you've never heard of them, you should check out the Clutch at pro-rock.com. They both have the rocks and the rolls. I'd start with songs by Electric Worry and Burning Beard. Have a bucket handy, 'cause your face is gonna melt off. Jordan, do you know more about this than I do?
I haven't really listened to Clutch beyond like the one or two samples that they provided. That's all right. If you actually want to have your face melted off, go listen to Black Future by Vector, because it will actually melt your face off. It's awesome. But thanks for the music tip. We're big music fans here. Mm-hmm. We obviously love our audio with our giant freaking pop filters and microphones here. So it's always good to get some shout outs for that. Pedro, did you listen to them?
No, I did not. But then again, I'm one of those people that likes Cradle of Filth.
Nickelback.
Yeah,
not Nickelback.
The Nickelback of heavy metal, Cradle of Filth.
Nickelfilth.
You just pissed off a hell of a lot of people.
Filthy Nickel.
Hey, at least I didn't go into how much I hate Children of Bodom, which I totally do. Send your hate mail to Pedro at the next game.
I don't hate Children of Bodom, but I like Cradle of Filth better. All right, so next up we have Viper29, and he says, I bought Tiny Knight, and hey, it's okay. I wish the animation was more fluid. We talked about Tiny Knight
last week.
Last week, yeah. I honestly can't remember a damn thing about it.
It was
neither can I. Google.
A bit like Jordan said, Igaboo.
Oh, that's the one.
Yeah. Then, Pedro was all like, Torchlight too graphic, guys.
All right.
But no, is the animation more fluid and all that. If you want to fill us in a bit more than that, Brad, it would be appreciated. It looked all right.
Yeah.
But the not really the animation, but more like the combat system looked a bit clunky. But
yeah, it did. But if the dev wants to send us some keys, we will definitely give our honest opinion. If it's good, we'll give it a good score. Yep. If it's bad, you better believe we'll shit on it. Oh yes.
Well, it's kind of interesting when developers they approach other Linux gaming outlets. They're like, here's some keys, and it's like, oh, here's a glowing review. LinuxGameCast, they kind of like crack the hinge a bit and like throw the keys and slam it. I'm like, okay.
It's like, here's the keys. Go away. We don't want to deal with you. That's cool.
Oh, one thing we do need to mention, Pedro, don't we have a couple of keys to give away?
Oh, yes. Yes, we do.
A couple,
developer.
Yeah, sure.
The developer of RC Racers Mini, which was a game that was available in the Ubuntu Software Center a long, long time ago. He sent us like 14 keys.
16 or something.
And yeah, and we've kind of, taken 3 for ourselves, but the rest is up for grabs.
I got an idea. So, how about we give a little, give half of them away this upcoming Wednesday on Linux Weekly Daily Wednesday, and we do the other half next Saturday. How about that?
Maybe. I think we should make the audience fight to the death for them, because those Ubuntu software center keys are super valuable.
And on that bombshell, let's cue the music. You can always find us around 9:30 Eastern, on the East Coast, I believe they call it. Cleverly disguised, much like my Twitter, at Vinstone. If you want to scream at me there, I'll get back to you. At least I try to. Also, plus Vinstone on the G+.
I'm Jordan Swung. You can find me poorly singing the Gorn fight theme at The Burning Fool on Twitter, or posting weird crap at plus Jordan Swung on Google+.
And I am Pedro Mateos. If you want to have an online discussion about random stupid shit, I'm your dude. You can always find me at Unaccounted For on Twitter, which, I will probably ping someone at some point just to make things interesting, or plus Pedro Mateos on Google+.
He really just wants the attention. It's true.
Rock and roll, gentlemen.
Hey, my ego needs...
Disco isn't
sustenance.
Wow. BGs!
Hashtag Casanova.
Sustenance for my ego.
The Disco Boys.
You need to construct additional pylons, Pedro.
You're an additional pylon.
Sustenance.
5 dudes.